me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
There was a big knowledge gap between what was known collectively in Parks and Rec and what was accessible online to that information. I was trying to close that knowledge gap and make the knowledge that's inside of Parks and Rec nationwide more widely available to the entire community of Parks and Rec professionals across the country. The better way to do that is to create a content library so that if we have an old director that's been doing this for 40 years and maybe he's retiring and unfortunately maybe he passes away, then all the knowledge and wisdom that he's gained over an entire career kind of goes with him.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. In this special episode, founder Craig LeBlanc takes us behind the scenes to share the origin story of DPRS Media Company, how one idea grew into a full-fledged media network dedicated to celebrating, connecting, and uplifting the Parks and Rec community nationwide. From his decade as a vendor to building over 300 live episodes, Craig reveals how a passion for storytelling and community turned into a movement, creating shows like Leadership Series, Youth Sports Mastery, Facility Maintenance, and the Young Professionals Network. Discover how DPRS Media Company is shaping the future of Parks and Recreation through media, partnerships, and storytelling, giving every leader, vendor, and frontline worker a voice. This is the story of where we came from, who we are, and where we're headed. Let's dive in.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Just a busy week. My guest had to step out, so you're just going to have me today. And today I'm going to take this opportunity to explain the origin story of DPRS MediaCo so that I can send this to people when they want to know, so how did DPRS MediaCo get started? And so this is going to kind of be the origin story that I'll be able to share with people on our YouTube channel. Just send this link, and then in one video, they can kind of understand what we're trying to do, how we got started, and where we're going kind of thing. But per usual, before we get started, I'd like to play a promotion for our strategic partners. So we now have quite a few strategic partners we are in conversation with who are helping us to co-create the Daily Parks and Rec Show and to build a media company for Parks and Recreation. And so if you'd like to get involved, if you are a vendor that serves the Parks and Rec community and have been for a long time and would like to help us uplift the Parks and Rec industry and to help create lots of content and work with all the content creators we can find to help produce their content and distribute that content for them. And this is something that you'd be interested in. And of course, along the way, we can elevate your brand in the Parks and Rec community, raise awareness around what your products and services are. Like I said, we have a lot of vendors that are on board for this and are helping us to lift this heavy load of creating what's similar to like an ESPN for sports. We want to create something similar in a media company that's all things Parks and Rec. So I'll play that promo, and then after that, we're going to also support our one of our oldest sponsors, Palco, which is an LED light manufacturer that can ship the municipal grade 100,000 hour light fixtures that you can swap out for your old fixtures, and you can control these with a cell phone app. We partnered with OutdoorLink to be able to do that, who is also one of our strategic partners. That is, we are co-creating a show all about smart cities. And so part of a smart city is to be able to communicate with your hardware. LED lights is a great example. You want to be able to turn them off and on with your cell phone. OutdoorLink facilitates this. We partner with them to be able to control the lights on your sports fields. So we'll play those two promos, and then we'll come right back and start telling the origin story of the Daily Parks and Rec Show and DPRS Media Company. So Sherry, why don't you go ahead and hit partners and LED lights right after that?
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS MediaCo, we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS MediaCo puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS MediaCo, stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.
All right. So if you're interested in becoming a strategic partner of the Daily Parks and Rec Show and co-creating with us, hit me up on LinkedIn and we'll get that conversation started. And also if you have sports lights that are the old metal halide lights and would like to replace them with high performance LED lights that last practically forever. I mean, 100,000 hours divided by 6,000 hours in a year. Essentially, you could turn these lights on about 15 years later. They would go out if you never turned them off. So it's a great warranty on those as well. And as I said before, they can all be controlled through your smartphone, laptop, desktop, anyone, any coach you can give access to. So at DoorLink has a great product to be able to control these lights. And for that matter, anything, whether it be bathroom door locks or pumps or anything else, you can actually have so much more remote control over your city. So also hit me up on LinkedIn and I can help connect you with the right people with those two companies. All right, so let's get started with the origin story of the Daily Parks and Rec Show. About a year ago, I had the idea after building the Bitcoin Daily Show. So I guess we can start there. It kind of all started back when I was a vendor of the Parks and Rec community for about a decade. And I was just one of the guys, like anyone else, that had Salesforce across the nation, attending state associations, setting up booths, going to the after events, paying for plane tickets and meals and entertainment and booth fees and sponsoring events at the annual events. And this is how we got the word out. And so around 2016, I discovered Bitcoin. Everybody knows I'm a big Bitcoiner. Shout out to all my Bitcoin people in the Parks and Rec community. Quite a few of us now, growing number. So I decided within a couple of years to put everything I own into Bitcoin and kind of just exited my other companies. And for a couple of years, just studied Bitcoin and decided that I was going to give back to that community, which is more of a global community, by creating content for Bitcoiners. And so I created the Daily Bitcoin Show, similar to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, which is where every day we would talk about Bitcoin and the different top subjects of Bitcoin. So you've got like Bitcoin mining, and you've got Bitcoin meetups, and you've got Bitcoin hardware and wallets, Bitcoin policy. And so we had a show every day that would speak about these, and we had a host for each of those shows that was somewhat of a master around that certain subject matter within Bitcoin. And so it was kind of like an educational thing. And within a year, we had quite a robust team of content creators, similar to what we have now here in the Daily Parks and Rec Show. And we got invited to Nashville as one of the media companies. And we were, when I got there, I found that I was one of 42 media companies. And this is where I saw a very robust content creation part of the Bitcoin community. And the idea came to me because of all the years that I've attended Parks and Rec in-person meetups, kind of like what your state does every year at the association level. You know, you have your annual event, right? For the state of Louisiana, for the state of Texas with TRAPS, or you just know all the other, there's 50 states, there's 50 associations. They all put on an annual event. Plus you've got NRPA that does the big national once a year event. And I was like, you know, I have never in all my life seen anything close to what I'm seeing here in Nashville with the Bitcoin community. And I felt that if the Bitcoin community had one less content creator, media company, they really wouldn't miss it. They seemed like they were taken care of. And I still love all my Bitcoin people. But I was like, I think it would be very valuable to create the first media company for Parks and Recreation to help uplift and tell the story of Parks and Rec, and then give a platform to all the leaders of Parks and Rec to come share all the wisdom that they have. And a lot of times I would see this wisdom being shared with the breakout sessions and the continuing education sessions and guest speakers. And, you know, if you weren't attending that event or sitting in the room, you were just kind of cut off for that knowledge, that wisdom. There was a big knowledge gap between what was known collectively in Parks and Rec and what was accessible online to that information. So I was trying to close that knowledge gap and make the knowledge that's inside of Parks and Rec nationwide more widely available to the entire community of Parks and Rec professionals across the country. And so what better way to do that is to create a content library, so that if we have an old director that's been doing this for 40 years, and maybe he's retiring, and unfortunately, maybe he passes away, then all the knowledge and wisdom that he's gained over an entire career kind of goes with him. And so I wanted to basically create a content library that would capture as much information as we could from the best professionals across the country that are doing things just at a super high level. So as we know, Parks and Rec can be a very nuanced, lots of different stuff going on, lots of different nuanced conversations going on, lots of unique wisdoms around, say, specific things like special events. And so some directors just are masters of special events, but maybe that same director is not a master of league sports or senior centers. And so the idea was, what if we could go capture the top 10 special events people across the country and ask them to help us pull the curtain back and do a deep dive into who they were when they started special events, then when they became passionate about it, and then when did they attain a high degree of mastery around special events. And imagine capturing those 10 episodes, all on special events, call it Special Events Masters or whatever. And then that content library would be accessible and available to the whole country. So that was kind of my idea. Now, I did pitch this to shout out to Shonda Smith, my girl up in Mobile, Alabama. I think she's going to be running that city before long. Vote for Shonda if she runs for mayor. No, she's not running for mayor, but there's a lot of us pushing her to. And she was like, well, Craig, you need to do this for us. And at the time I was a little reluctant, but the more I started to think about it, I was like, you know what? I think this is where I can bring the most value to my community of now close friends in Parks and Rec. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this. But I said, if we're going to do it, we're just going to do it right. Let's get some professional video editors, some content creators, people that are masters of distributing content, editing content, networking. And so we built quite a robust little team here with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We're up to 8 of us full-time working on this. Probably 400 or 500 man hours a week going into this project of DPRS Media Company. And so I decided to book myself. I say book myself. I drove to Atlanta, attended the NRPA in Atlanta, and just started asking around, interviewing people, asking what their thoughts were. And so I got a lot of great feedback and decided from the Atlanta convention, we're going to launch this. And actually not too far after, I went to the Kentucky Parks and Rec Association as an in-person, and shout out to Nate. He helped me with all the camera equipment, helped me get these beautiful Rode mics and some lights and stuff like that, because I didn't know anything about really quality professional production when it came to sound and audio and video and lighting and stuff. So I was like, well, I got to up my game if we're going to do this right. And so we started that journey, and we just kind of made our 1 year. If we call our first year from Atlanta to Orlando, that would, I guess you could be year 1, when we did approximately 299 videos, because this is our 299th episode. So shout out to the team and everybody that support us. Tomorrow will be our 300th episode. So congratulations. I wish I had a little button where it would like clap and celebrate, but just imagine that's what's happening. So that's how we kicked it off. And we just started doing a daily show. The leadership series is our flagship show. It's the one that started it all. And that was just 11 to 12 noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday, leaders in Parks and Rec. And I would just start by just interviewing mostly directors. And so since then, I've had approaching 800 conversations with leaders in Parks and Rec. And then they would, where I would do a show prep call or just try to find out more about what they were doing and just schedule. I would find out their story, and then we would schedule them to come on to the leadership series show. And, just started there doing about a podcast a day or a live video interview a day. And of course, I wanted to go live because one thing I learned by doing the Bitcoin Daily Show, that is if you're willing to go live, the algorithms that rank content as it's being uploaded and produced, you have different rankings. So if you just want to type a paragraph or type, a 500-word article, it's got like the lowest. That's like the written. But if you want to do like just sound, maybe just do a podcast, they give that a little more, or an image if you want to. So if you have like an image attached to your post, so you could just have a written post, you can have a written post with an image, performs a little bit better. If you want to do audio with an image and some written, it performs a little bit better. But if you're willing to go live, the algorithms embedded in X and Facebook and LinkedIn just kind of treat you better. They give you more distribution so that more people can see your content. So that was one added benefit. The other one is when you can go live, you get better at just presenting the subject matter. And so I personally wanted to become a master at just the interview process, creating the content, editing the content, distributing the content. So we decided to use a service called StreamYard. And what StreamYard does, it's just one of these subscription models. Now there's a subscription for just about everything in software. So if you're a content creator and you want to go live and you want to pump this live content to X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Rumble, you name it, It'll capture the content live and then distribute it for you. So that worked out well for the daily uh, Bitcoin show, and so we used the same software for the daily Parks and Rec show. So we just started to go live, and in a lot of those live performances, I would ask the question, "What content do you think is underserved?" And so one of the earliest responses to that was, if you can create anything on facilities maintenance, that would be great. So soon after, we launched another show, which we're still building. It's kind of hit or miss still, not as consistent as the leadership series, but as we build out our hosts, um, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm the show host. So we need more show hosts. And so as I started to network, I was like, hey, would you like to help me host fill in the blank, all these other shows, that these ideas that we're coming up to create? And so facilities maintenance was one of our early ones, where it was, in addition to our 12 noon show, we would do a 10:30 a.m. show on facilities maintenance and cover all things from managing the fields, how to, cut the grass, how to, um, whether it be, shoot, what are the other things in setting up and tear down for special events, or fertilizers or weed killers. I mean, there's so much in facilities maintenance that we easily could create a lot of content on that. And then soon after that, I met YPN. So I had never heard of YPN, even though they'd been around for I think they're coming up on their 10th year through NRPA's YPN, which stands for Young Professionals Network. Now, YPN was born to help serve and kind of integrate the new people coming in, the next generation. And so that was the first, I guess, the third show that we wanted to create, which is to give a space for the young professionals coming in. And when I say young professionals, it's the mentors that work with young professionals, the professors that teach at the collegiate level for young professionals, the young professionals themselves. So if it's like your first 1 to 5 years into Parks and Rec, then you're considered a young professional. Also the part-time workers, high school and college kids that are working after school care, stuff like that, just the young people of Parks and Rec. And then also the internship programs. So it's like everybody that fit in those 5 buckets, we have a show for y'all on Friday. That was kind of the third show that we decided to produce. And then after that, we have I met Mr. Aaron Locks out in California, who is a master of all things youth sports and has 4 decades in youth sports and sports in general. And I was now his company actually is a franchise company that finds kind of a combination of entrepreneurs, youth sports, that want to find a way to make a living doing youth sports for the Parks and Rec community. And he's got a whole roadmap and playbook where it's like youth sports in a box almost. And then he partners with cities and basically takes on the burden of running all your youth sports programming. And he staffs them with coaching. He'll even run all of your after school care. Now, he can run everything that you want turnkey, to where all you're doing is maintaining the facilities, and then you get a revenue share off of all the economy that he brings in for your city. But then he also works with cities that just don't want to do volleyball or don't want to do lacrosse. And so his team will come in and just run your lacrosse program, and then you keep running everything else that you're already good at. And so when I understood his business model and that he's been working in Parks and Rec for such a long time, I was like, why don't me and you create a show all on youth sports? So that's our Thursday show that's been running pretty much every Thursday for most of the year. And Aaron just brings on some of the best guests in coaching, officiating, the pros, pro athletes that are active or retired, and just has some of the best content I've ever seen when it comes to youth sports and why coaching is important. And he also highlights, I think, a problem that we're starting to see in youth sports when it comes around a lot of these elite travel teams and how they're kind of pulling away from the community component of sports. Because, I mean, maybe 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, I don't even know the numbers on how many kids actually have potential athleticism to be able to be a D1 athlete or a collegiate athlete. But Parks and Rec is more about serving the entire community. So all the little kids that aren't very athletic, maybe they're very Maybe they're artistic and they can play the cello well, or they're good at math, or they're good at engineering, but they'll never really be, the best player on the team. But they still get a lot of great life lessons out of the coaching and team sports and learning how to win, learning how to push their little bodies as they start to develop. And so I love how he talks a lot about that. So we kind of aligned a lot with the Parks and Rec community as far as who they want to serve. And so that's the other show that we launched is Youth Sports Mastery. So then as I got into that, we were like, you know what? We discovered so many other topics that really need their own show. One of them was urban forestry. Another one is financials. That's when I met Outdoor Link, and I saw the work they're doing with smart cities and making cities truly smart cities that are able to control remotely all of their hardware devices through like a cell phone or a laptop. And I said, you know what? That's another show we need to create something on, with how are cities becoming smart cities and what's all the ins and outs of that and how that's evolving. And so you can kind of see how we've actually got a growing list of shows that we want to create as we start on this journey to create a 24/7 news network, or I don't want to call it a news network because it's more about education and news, but it's all in the subject matter of Parks and Recreation. And I'm basically copying and pasting what I did with the Bitcoin Daily Show, all things Bitcoin. So our Bitcoin show about mining was all about mining Bitcoin and the hardware and stuff. But then when we have another one just on meetups that meet and how we organize meetups and stuff. So like Monday was our meetup show, Thursday was our mining show. And so with that same vein of logic, we wanted to create a framework inside the Parks and Rec community that would talk to all the different parts of Parks and Recreation. Because as you know, you can spend 20, 30 years in facilities or in aquatics, and that really doesn't prepare you to go spend or doesn't give you any kind of mastery around managing urban forestry. And so there really is very specific knowledge and wisdom inside of Parks and Rec, inside of the different parts of Parks and Recreation. And so I think at this point where we're at is, now that we've got all the hardware, the software, the AI tools, the editing team, we're in a position to where now we're starting to onboard new hosts and new strategic partners that want to create content for the Parks and Rec community, but on all these specific subject matters. And so that brought us to all the way to today, to where now we're opening up an internship program, which I announced earlier this week. After working with YPN and talking to Thomas White and, what's the other girl that I met with? Gabby, Vera, and what's the girl from Connecticut? Sherry, you remember her name? No, not Megan. Well, Megan Cool was another one. It'll come to me. But I ran into people that were running very robust internship programs, and thinking that, you know what, one of the bottlenecks for the Daily Parks and Rec show is me. That there's not enough time for me to actually host the shows. And again, I don't have any depth of wisdom when it comes to, say, therapeutic recreation. So what we're doing now is we've now opened up the Daily Parks and Rec show to have interns that will come in, and then we'll teach them everything that I'm doing, everything the editing and distribution team is doing. And so they can spend an intern with the Daily Parks and Rec show and just understand how to create content, how to create media, how to build online communities, how to edit and distribute that content, how to host, kind of like I'm doing here. And this is how we will expand out. So that's kind of where we came from, is just my experience as a vendor for a decade. Also building the Daily Bitcoin show and how all that worked, building different conversations about all the different parts of Bitcoin. Then we actually had a launch where I really did a deep dive into understanding what is Parks and Rec, what are the different buckets of wisdom that we want to highlight. And I would say the last thing that we're doing, in addition to expanding our show host bandwidth, is this in-person thing. So the in-person thing is the Daily Parks and Rec Show has attended, I think we are on our 5th or 6th. Orlando NRPA was, I think, our 6th one that we attended live. And it's where we kind of cover the live events. We show up with the camera crews, production crew, all the hardware and equipment, and we just air live from your state convention. And we interview the attendees, the people that are putting on the convention, the vendors, and we really try to capture what's it like to attend Alabama's annual convention. What's it like to attend TRAPS? What's it like to attend NRPAs? And this way we give a feel for, let's say you missed it and you just want to catch a few of your friends that maybe came on the show for a 10, 15-minute interview, or let's say you're kind of down on the totem pole. Every city can only send maybe 2, 3, or 4. Some of the bigger cities can send maybe 10 people to an NRPA or to their state convention, but most of the staff just kind of misses out. And they always want to attend, but they never can. Their city can never afford to send them. So this is kind of like the second best. You can almost feel like you're there and kind of get a sense for what that was like, and really just try to capture what goes on at these annual events. So that's kind of the origin story of where we came from, what we're doing, and kind of where we're going. So we'll go ahead and stop right there. It's kind of the halfway part. And what I'm going to do is I want to play the promotion that we made for 2 of our other shows that I've already talked about. The Youth Sports Mastery show, which is tomorrow. That's every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. And then the Young Professionals Network show, which is a Friday show, 12 noon Eastern. So Sherry, why don't you go ahead and play the YPN and then follow that up with the Youth Sports Mastery show, and then I'll come back and finish up my discussion with y'all.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS MediaCo. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story.
At DPRS MediaCo, we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS MediaCo. This is where purpose meets play.
All right, so that was promos for 2 of our weekly shows. Youth Sports Mastery every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. with Aaron Locks, and our YPN show, the Young Professionals Network, on Friday at 12 noon Eastern. All right, so I think I pretty much covered the origin story, and maybe I can define a little bit about where we're going and what we're doing. I already mentioned that we started an internship program. The next available semester, we're working with River Parishes Community College, and I've got a couple other colleges that I'm also in discussions with to kind of funnel us some interns that are in broadcast media. So if you're an intern or you know of an intern that is interested in marketing or broadcast media or journalism or stuff like that. We have a newsletter that we need help with. We have show hosts like myself that I'm doing. We have backstage production managers that are helping to run the stage. Behind me, there's somebody that is trained, and we're training more people to be able to run all the backstage. And so if this is something, say you're a college kid and you just want some exposure and experience to working with a media company that produces content for an industry, and you'd like to, learn how to work all the hardware, software, you'd like to learn how to interview and be a show host, or help distribute content, or if you're a writer and want to help with the newsletter, those are the areas that we're looking for internships for. So that's kind of part of this next phase. We're kind of entering phase 3, which is kind of starts at the 300th episode. So tomorrow we'll be hitting that 300 mark. Today's our 299th episode. But then also we're bringing on those strategic partners to help us in a couple of ways. Let me explain, I guess, the strategic partnership. So strategic partners are vendors that serve the Parks and Rec community, and that serve it, and it's a significant portion of their client base. So it's not like 1% is Parks and Rec. This is like when I had my company, 100% of my clients were Parks and Rec. And there's a lot of other people that make software for Parks and Rec, and this is all they do is make Parks and Rec software, or they sell park benches and that's all they sell, or playground equipment, or stuff like that. And so now you do have like lawnmower companies that obviously sell to like golf courses and other places that are not strictly Parks and Recreation. But still, if you are a vendor that serves the Parks and Rec community and has a significant portion of your client base is Parks and Recreation, then this would be a good fit for you. And then also, because since we are a nationwide show, it probably wouldn't make sense for someone that only serves in Louisiana to create content for a national brand like the Daily Parks and Rec Show. But say if you're a software company that distributes software nationwide, then that's going to be a good conversation for us to have. But what are some of the other benefits to the strategic partner? Well, you get to help create content for this industry. You get to help build awareness around the entire industry. And of course, your brand we run 6 promotions on every episode where we promote the other shows. So if you help co-create a show with us, similar to what Aaron Locks is doing with U Sports Mastery, then his brand and his logo gets uplifted as the sponsor, as the co-creator, and then you get to meet the people of U Sports Mastery. So of course, he is the actual host, but he's also brought on some of his clients. He's brought on some of his staff. So that you really get to know the National Academy of Athletics. And then a lot of his shows are bringing on just professionals in youth sports and stuff. And so you really get 12 hours of content a year that you get to co-create with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. And I would say about half of it's going to be educational content. So like with Outdoor Link, we're going to be creating something that has to do with smart cities. So we'll talk a lot about we'll kind of define what is a smart city. How does becoming a smart city make all your operations more efficient, so you can do more with less? You can do more with less manpower. You can do more with less capital, and still run your same Parks and Rec facilities, but just at a higher degree of efficiency. And so a lot of that's going to be around education, but also we get to introduce and do a couple of episodes on the company of Outdoor Link, who they are, why they chose to work in Parks and Rec, and then you get to understand their team, their founders, their founding story. And then lastly, we have some success stories. And so these are your best clients, where you get to highlight their park systems and why they're happy in using your products and services. And so all that content creation is kind of done through a partnership with the Daily Parks and Rec Show and the strategic partner to create a weekly or monthly show to create that content I just laid out. But then I would say one of the more important things is that, look at it this way. Say you want to get better at tennis. You can watch a lot of tennis. You can read about a lot of tennis, but until you sign up to practice and have a coach, you really never get better at the game of tennis. And unfortunately, if you want to make content for yourself, for your Facebook page, for your company's page, and you want to get that content out there, you need to have certain software, certain hardware, certain skill sets, editing and distribution skill sets that you're going to have to take in your marketing department to create all that. Well, if you partner with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we have all that already squared away. So we already have full-time video editors, sound engineers, content creators that can also know all the distribution tools. So when I say distribution, it's like once you've created a really good piece of content, a digital piece of content, let's say it's a 2-minute commercial or it's like a 1-hour explanation of what you do. Okay, but now you have to get that content out there, and understanding how content distribution works in Facebook is one skill set. Understanding how content distribution works in LinkedIn is another skill set. And so understanding how content gets distributed across all the different social media platforms it takes a lot of time to understand how to do that. And so because we've already had to learn how to do that by creating the entire media company for the Parks and Rec industry, you're not having to shoulder that financial burden or that manpower burden. We can do that for you. And we just need help making the content on your specific part of Parks and Recreation. And so in this way, we partner for both wisdom, but then what you get out of it is the content creation itself. And then you get good at telling your story. Why? Because you have to tell part of your story. You have to come up with 12 hours of content. And then you have all this team of creatives on the backside that's helping you to do this. And so that's a really big benefit because I would advise anyone working in Parks and Rec to create content for the Parks and Rec community as a gift to them. And so that's kind of how it's a year-long partnership that we're doing with all of our strategic partners, and then we just kind of negotiate our price and our, what value we are to them year after year. Let's see, and what's the next one? All right, so the next one we're building out is, as I said before, this in-person stuff. So we will be attending. We'll probably end up attending about 15, if I had to guess, in 2026. I think we'll probably finish off the year with about 9 in-person events. If Orlando was our number 6, we've already got 3 booked just for November. I think we're going to take a break during December because we'll be kind of exhausted. And I've already got one scheduled for January and February for 2026. If I had to guess, we will next year also attend Georgia, Louisiana, Kentucky, NRPA. So those 4 plus the other 2. So I think right now, without scheduling any new ones, we're already very close to the 9 that we're going to attend in 2025. We'll attend those same 9 in 2026. But that's kind of a whole different animal. So that's going to be, we'll be putting together what's essentially a film crew, where we have live interviews, kind of live on the street, interviewing live from those events. And we'll need, obviously, much more cameras, much more mics, another couple, maybe we'll have 2 kind of podcast style setups. And so I'm actually on Amazon right now getting ready to order another wave of equipment. And then I actually have to figure out how to travel with all this, because you may have seen me and Sherry in Orlando just dragging around just random book sacks and stuff with audio and sound equipment and lighting equipment in it. So I need to kind of make to where all that goes on a plane and stuff, and then put together a little film crew that can go set all that up. Now, the other thing that we're doing in addition to that is, if you are a content creator or a podcaster that does maybe 12 podcasts a year just in the Parks and Rec community, and you'd like to co-create with us, and the example we have there is the Rec Room. So if you haven't seen it yet, every second Wednesday of the month, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, we create something called the Rec Room in collaboration with Henry County, Georgia, the best run park system in America. Shout out to Thomas White and Jonathan Penn and that whole team over there. And they wanted to start a podcast to just share all the stuff they're doing so well. And they really are one of the best, if not the best run park system in America. And I know that's fighting words for a lot of park systems, because everybody thinks they have the best park system, but they really do such a great job. And they are taking pretty much a national tour explaining what they do. Thomas is just, I know they're going to be in speaking. They spoke a lot at NRPA. They spoke at, they're speaking at Georgia coming up. They're speaking in Louisiana coming up. So I'm so glad that they're helping getting the word out there. But anyway, their idea was to start a podcast. They did one and they ran up against that technical wall where they didn't really know how to capture it. What about the mic setups? They didn't know about StreamYard. They didn't have, graphics designers on staff like we do. And then we got connected through Brian Dixon, who is their kind of superintendent in charge of all the maintenance side of Parks and Rec at Henry County, Georgia. And after meeting with him, he kind of shared what they tried to do. And I'm like, match made in heaven. We would love to help y'all produce that. Y'all just show up like y'all did, just like a regular Zoom call. And then I'll help facilitate it, the actual, the Wednesday show, the Rec Room, but then we'll also help produce it. And then we'll also help distribute it. And so we love that relationship. And we've actually in conversation with a few other podcasters to do the exact same thing. Several of them already in the works. Another one that we're working with, is it Her Sports? Her Sports, yeah. So Her Sports is a company that Lisa started, and Jordan Ziff came on recently as their first full-time hire to highlight all the things that are female sports. Because Lisa, as it turns out, was a writer, and she's a professor at one of the universities over in California, was big into female sports and watched the big game and couldn't find any articles written on the game. And she was calling these newsletters saying, how come y'all didn't write about this great game that they had? And out of frustration, she's like, you know what, I'll write the article. Can y'all just put it in your newsletter? And after getting a lot of pushback from that, she was like, you know what, we're going to create something just for California about her sports. And that's just about all the female sports that's going on in that one local market. So then they came on the U Sports Mastery show. Jordan used to work with Erin and kind of told her whole story. And we actually had her last week on the show while she was driving on that horrible interstate in California that you just sit there all the time. And we got to hear her whole story about how she played professional soccer in New Zealand and Puerto Rico and Brazil, and then now is kind of retired and now working full time with Her Sports to just uplift all female sports. And so after we connected, I was like, hey, why don't I help you produce that, and you just make the content. And so that's another kind of match made in heaven, similar to the Rec Room with Henry County, Georgia. The Daily Parks and Rec Show is partnering with Her Sports to, again, help produce the content and get it out there. And that be all part of the Daily Parks and Rec Show of DPRS Media Company. And so you can kind of see where this is going. We're working with vendors, forming strategic partnerships to create content just on specific topics within Parks and Rec, but then also content creators that are creating content that fits underneath that Parks and Rec umbrella. We're helping them to produce their content and airing that and distributing it as part of the family of shows that's part of DPRS Media Company. All right, so I think I've done a pretty good 45-minute explanation of how we got started, who we are now, and where we're going. And so we'll go ahead and close it out. We do have a great lineup tomorrow. We've got 2 shows scheduled. We have our regular leadership series. I think we have Jean Sprague. Let's see, where is she from? See if I can see that. Looks like she's from Lincoln. Is that right? Lincoln City. So she'll be coming on as our leadership series guest tomorrow, followed by Aaron Locks with our U Sports Mastery. There's about a 20-minute break between the 2 shows. And then where I think we do have somebody scheduled for our Friday Young Professionals Network show. So that's all I have for y'all today. So I'm glad I was finally able to just download the origin story, because I have a lot of people ask me about it. And, rather than having this 45-minute conversation, sometimes I can't because I don't have 45 minutes if we're just kind of passing. I can send them a link to this show right here, and it kind of explains where we came from, who we are, and what we're doing. So Sherry, why don't you go ahead and hit the, we'll close out with the facilities maintenance promo, and then the outro is going to be our strategic partnership thing. So, all right, this is Craig LeBlanc again, signing off with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Again, thanks everybody for the love and support that we've gotten to get us to our 300th episode. Couldn't have done it without y'all. And, it's really been a blast covering this industry. So I'll see y'all here again tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS MediaCo, where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy. At DPRS MediaCo, we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of parks and rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS MediaCo. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.